We're diving into something pretty fascinating today, a real demographic puzzle.
Yeah.
You sent in a ton of stuff on aging populations and the future of work, and this whole debate about older workers,
Yay.
articles, reports, even some campaign proposals, all the way from Quebec.
Wow.
You definitely weren't kidding about wanting that deep dive treatment.
Well, it's remarkable how this isn't just, some niche issue anymore. It's a global shift, and it has huge implications.
Absolutely.
We're talking societal changes, we're talking economic pressures, and frankly, we're talking about some pretty deeply ingrained assumptions. Assumptions about what it means to be older and working today.
Assumptions, that's the key word.
Yeah.
One of the things that jumped out at me from all this material was just how quickly this demographic wave is hitting, especially in Quebec.
Yeah.
One report I saw said that their oldest age bracket is about to grow faster than anywhere else in the West.
Wow.
Faster than Florida, faster than even Japan, which just blew my mind.
It's true, and to understand the speed of it, you have to think about two things that are happening at the same time.
Okay.
Birth rates are declining, while at the same time people are living longer. You put those two things together, and you get a situation where Quebec, for example, could soon have a similar proportion of older adults as Italy.
Wow.
But it took Italy a century to reach that level. We're talking decades, not centuries for Quebec.
Wow, that really puts things in perspective.
Yeah.
Like suddenly there's this huge pool of experienced talent that we're often just overlooking. And that brings us to the heart of this deep dive. Older workers.
Absolutely.
You flagged a lot of misconceptions about their productivity, their ability to adapt, tech skills, the list goes on.
Yeah, it's classic, isn't it? Stereotypes just not matching up with reality.
Right.
One article I was reading cited a study that found employees over 60.
Okay.
They were more likely to embrace new software compared to, their younger coworkers, at least in some industries.
Interesting.
Turns out, when your career has spanned decades, you've seen tech come and go.
Yeah.
It makes you more adaptable, not less.
That's a serious aha moment right there.
Right.
It reminds me of that saying, what's new is often what's been forgotten.
Exactly.
But if this experience is so valuable, why are so many companies missing out? Is it just outdated thinking? Or is there more to it?
It's complex.
Yeah.
You've got the stereotypes like we talked about.
Right.
But there are also very real challenges.
Yeah.
Challenges that companies face when they're trying to adapt to an aging workforce.
Like what?
Well, we're talking everything from, outdated HR policies to just a lack of flexibility, things that older workers might need or prefer.
So it's not just about avoiding being anti-ageism.
Right.
It's about fundamentally rethinking how we work.
Yes.
But before we get into solutions, I think we have to address the elephant in the room, ageism itself.
Yeah.
You flagged some pretty disturbing trends, particularly during the pandemic.
Yeah, unfortunately, the pandemic really seemed to amplify those existing biases. You know that term boomer remover? As awful as it is, it reflected a real and concerning tendency. This tendency to devalue older lives and older contributions.
It's unsettling how quickly that kind of rhetoric took hold.
It is.
But even beyond those extreme examples, I imagine everyday ageism plays a big role.
Of course.
How older workers are perceived and how they are treated.
Absolutely. We see it in subtle ways all the time, like assumptions about, say, an older worker's willingness to travel or relocate for a job.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's more overt, like actual discrimination during the hiring process.
Right.
I was looking at this one study where they sent out identical resumes.
Okay.
The only difference was the applicant's age.
Oh, wow.
Guess which ones got fewer callbacks?
Yeah, it's disheartening, but sadly, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
It feels like we've got this perfect storm brewing.
Yeah.
A rapidly aging population, a tight labor market. You've got persistent stereotypes.
Right.
And even blatant ageism at times.
Yes.
It's no wonder that governments and organizations are scrambling for solutions.
Yeah.
What are some of the ideas being floated around out there? It does feel like there's this tension between, like, the challenges and these amazing opportunities.
Right.
Because on the one hand, you've got this incredible potential talent pool that we seem to be overlooking. But on the other hand, companies need to adapt.
Yeah.
And they need to adapt quickly.
They do.
So how do we even begin to untangle all of this?
Well, a lot of different solutions are being explored.
Okay.
And some of them are, frankly, pretty creative. There's this one campaign proposal out of Quebec that really caught my eye. They want to use humor to combat these age-related stereotypes.
Humor.
Yeah.
All right, you've got my attention.
So they're proposing slogans like enrage a senior, engage a senior.
I like it.
Or make sure you can tell the difference between R&G, retire, and get going.
That's great.
It's about using wit and wordplay to get people to really reconsider these deeply ingrained assumptions.
I love it because sometimes a little bit of humor, it's the best way to get a really serious message across.
Right.
Sort of disarms people.
It does.
And it makes them a little more receptive.
Absolutely. And along with the humor, they're suggesting showcasing positive examples. Examples of older workers who are thriving in all sorts of roles.
Right.
You know, real life stories, testimonials, things like that. That can be so powerful in shifting perceptions.
It's one thing to hear statistics about, the skills and experience of older workers.
Right.
But to actually see someone in their 60s or 70s, rocking their job, maybe starting their own business, mentoring younger colleagues, that's inspiring.
Totally.
But changing hearts and minds, it's just part of the equation here.
It is.
What about the practical side?
Yeah.
Keeping older adults engaged in the workforce.
Right. We need concrete solutions. And financial incentives are a big part of that conversation.
Absolutely.
So there are a lot of people talking about tax breaks. Tax breaks specifically for older workers.
Right. Or even just adjusting pension plans.
Yes.
So people aren't penalized.
Exactly.
For wanting to earn income past a certain age.
It's a real issue.
Yeah, I was reading a few articles about how the current system can actually discourage people.
It does.
From working longer, even if they want to.
Yeah, and these days.
And let's be honest, with the rising cost of living these days,
absolutely,
having that financial security, it's crucial.
It is, but you've also highlighted that it's not always about the money.
Right.
Right? What are some of those other reasons
that
older adults are choosing to stay engaged in work?
It's such a good point because money is important.
It is.
But it's not the only thing.
No.
A lot of older adults, they crave that social interaction.
Absolutely.
And that sense of purpose that work can provide.
Right.
They want to feel valued.
Yeah.
Challenged, connected to something larger than themselves.
Got it.
It's so true. And it made me think about work can be such a source of identity.
It can.
And community.
For sure.
And that's true no matter how old you are. It reminded me of this book I read recently about how the whole concept of retirement, it's actually a relatively new thing.
It is.
You know, it used to be this hard stop.
Right.
Like, that's it. You're done working.
Yep.
But now it's becoming a lot more fluid.
It is.
People are redefining what it even means to retire.
Exactly.
Whether it's transitioning to part-time work or finally starting that passion project they've been putting off for years.
Yes.
Or even launching a whole new career.
Absolutely. The traditional model just doesn't fit anymore.
It really doesn't.
People are living longer. They're living healthier lives.
Right.
Their career paths, they're just more diverse now.
Yeah.
And a lot less linear than they used to be.
And that's where things get really interesting for employers, right?
Yeah, they do.
Because if you want to attract and retain the best talent, you have to adapt to this new reality.
You do.
So what kind of challenges are employers facing?
Yeah, well.
When we talk about creating a workplace that's truly age inclusive.
Often the biggest hurdle is just recognizing that there's a need for change in the first place.
Yeah.
Many companies are so used to traditional hiring practices, they don't even realize they might be excluding older workers.
Unintentionally, even.
Yes, exactly.
So it's not even enough to just avoid, like, outright discrimination, right? You have to proactively build a culture that values experience.
Yes, 100%.
So what does that look like in practice?
Well, it means rethinking a lot of things. Your recruitment strategies, your training programs, even just the language you're using. Some companies are getting really innovative with their approaches.
Like, give me some examples.
Okay, so there's this one company in Germany.
Okay.
They completely overhauled how they recruit to attract older workers specifically.
Oh.
So they started by changing the language in their job postings, using age-neutral terms, emphasizing experience and skills.
Rather than just years of work.
Yes. And they also started this mentorship program.
Oh, nice.
Where senior employees mentor their younger colleagues.
Love that.
It facilitates knowledge transfer. It creates a much more inclusive environment.
It's about recognizing that each generation
brings
unique strengths to the total.
Exactly. What about flexibility?
Flexibility is huge.
Huge for older workers.
It's huge for everyone.
Right.
But yeah, companies that offer flexible work arrangements,
Yes.
remote work, adjusted hours, compressed work weeks, you name it.
They're finding it so much easier to attract and retain older workers.
Because it just makes sense.
It does.
It's about that work-life balance that everyone appreciates.
Exactly.
But let's not forget about training and development.
Right.
How can companies make sure that their older workers are staying up to date?
That's so important.
Especially in today's rapidly changing world, with technology and everything.
It's crucial. And it's about creating this culture of continuous learning.
Yes.
Making sure that there are opportunities for professional development, no matter where you are in your career.
Right.
I've seen some companies doing these reverse mentorship programs.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
So you have younger employees who are usually a bit more comfortable with new technologies.
Right. They mentor their older colleagues.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
I love that.
It encourages intergenerational collaboration. It keeps everyone's skills sharp.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces fit together.
Right.
It's not just about changing policies.
Yeah.
It's about shifting those underlying mindsets.
Yes.
Both for employers and for older workers themselves.
You've got it.
We have to move away from this idea that aging automatically equals decline.
Right?
And instead, really embrace this idea of aging
Yes.
as a time of continued growth and contribution.
I love that.
It's not about stopping time.
No.
It's about making the most of the time that we have
Yes.
at every age.
Absolutely.
Wow, you've given us a lot to think about today.
So it's a big topic.
It is. This deep dive has been eye-opening,
Good.
inspiring, and honestly a lot of fun.
It's been my pleasure.
So, for you listening,
Yeah.
as you process all of this information, here's a final thought to ponder.
Okay.
What if we redefined retirement?
Interesting.
Not as the end,
Yeah.
but as a beginning.
I like it.
A new chapter, a chance to maybe try new things, new adventures,
Yeah.
and keep making a difference
Absolutely.
on your own terms.
The best.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yes. Thank you.
Until next time. This feels like it goes way beyond just jobs and work.
Oh, for sure.
It's about how we as a society, how we value older adults,
Yeah.
their wisdom, their experience, all of it.
It's about ageism, really.
Right.
Combating ageism everywhere, not just in the workplace.
Because it doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Exactly.
It's how we treat our elders, how we design our communities.
Absolutely.
Even just how we talk about aging as a process.
Yes, it's all connected.
It really is.
We need to create a society where people can keep learning, keep growing, keep contributing.
And where experience is celebrated.
Yes.
It's not a liability, it's an asset.
Right.
Instead of that out with the old mentality.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, look at all the wisdom and perspective you bring.
That's the kind of shift we need.
It is. It's powerful, that vision.
And it's something we can all actually actively work towards.
Right. It starts with awareness.
It does.
And then action.
Yes.
Every conversation we have.
Every choice we make.
Every choice, yeah.
It all contributes.
It really does.
To creating a more age-friendly world.
It makes you think about,
Yeah.
am I doing enough? Am I aware of my own biases? Even the subtle ones that I might not even realize I have.
Those are the trickiest ones.
They are. They really are.
The ones we don't even realize are there.
And advocating, advocating for policies that are more inclusive.
Yes.
Not just in the workplace, but everywhere.
Absolutely. Imagine a world where,
Yeah.
age is something to be celebrated, not feared.
That would be amazing.
Where experience is something that's sought after.
Yeah.
Not dismissed.
Right, where people are empowered to thrive.
Yes.
No matter how old they are.
That's the future I want to live in.
Me too. It's inspiring.
It is.
This whole deep dive, it's been eye-opening.
It is a fascinating topic.
It is. It really is.
And there's so much potential for change.
So much. What was your biggest takeaway from all of this material?
Honestly, what really stuck with me was this realization that so many of the things that we think of, the limitations of aging,
right?
They're often socially constructed.
Interesting.
They're not necessarily biologically determined. We have this idea that certain skills, they just inevitably decline.
Right. It's built into us.
But that's not always true.
Right.
It often has more to do with opportunity and attitude than anything else.
That's such a good point.
It really is.
It's like that whole myth about older people not being able to learn technology.
Yeah.
Studies show that they can.
Of course they can.
And they often do.
Right.
It's more about how we approach it.
Exactly.
Providing the right opportunities, adapting the teaching style.
It's like any other form of diversity, really.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing and valuing those individual differences.
And celebrating
Yes.
the strengths that every single generation brings to the table.
I love that.
Instead of this mindset of like,
Yeah.
aging is a problem we have to solve.
Right.
What if it's a journey?
Yeah.
It's about continued growth and contribution.
Beautifully said.
It's not about stopping time.
Yep.
It's about really making the most of the time we have.
At every age.
At every age. Wow. This has been fantastic.
It has.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. It's been inspiring.
I'm so glad to hear that.
And honestly, a lot of fun.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
It really has. Thank you for, for taking this journey with me.
Of course. Anyway.
And for everyone listening, as you're, processing all of this,
Yeah.
here's a final thought
Okay.
to take with you. What if we redefined retirement,
Interesting.
not as an ending,
Right.
but as a beginning,
I like that.
a brand new chapter
Yeah.
with new possibilities,
Yeah.
new adventures,
Absolutely.
the chance to keep making a difference, but on your own terms.
The best way to do it.
That's it for this deep dive, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep challenging those assumptions.
We'll see you next time.